Hello, everybody. Welcome to Power Beyond Boundaries, where we explore the cutting edge of energy innovation and the future of power distribution. Today, we're joined by Ellie Viamontes, the Chair, President, and CEO of Entergy Texas, to discuss the challenges and strategies in maintaining grid reliability amid growing demands from modern technology and energy-intensive industries. I'm your host, Jordan Yates, and I'm also joined by Shafiq Jada. Oh, shoot, Shafiq. I've never asked you how to say your last name. Shafiq. I'm joined by Shafiq from Zeus Power
I'm
Supplies.
I just need one name.
That's it. There's only so many Shafiq. So, Ellie, say hello to everybody. Then Shafiq will let you tell everybody how to say your name.
There you go. Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me here. Yeah, looking forward to the discussion. Thank you.
Shafiq, it's great to
Yeah,
have you here as well.
thank you. I'm the man with one name, Shafiq Jadala with Zeus Power Supplies, and thank you, Jordan, for hosting this,
The
and
funny
Elliot
thing
for
is,
being on the show.
it was going so smooth. I was like, this introduction's going amazing. And I was like, there's no way I'll mess it up. So anyways, we'll get into what the actual episode is about. So our first segment is going to be on energy resilience and reliability. Now, this is a big topic of discussion because as you guys know, like the grid isn't magic. It doesn't just produce energy. It doesn't just move it along magically as much as we'd like to think it does. So we're going to ask Ellie today the first question. So, with your extensive background in utility distribution and leadership roles across various states, how do you define energy resilience and reliability in today's context?
Yeah, no, and I appreciate the question. That's a common topic and really common topic in terms of confusion between resiliency and reliability. Often they may be used interchangeably, but there is a distinct difference. And really, when you think about resiliency, it's about making sure that you're able to, plan ahead, mitigate, and respond to extreme weather events. Now, what type of extreme weather events? Well, that's where, electric utilities need to understand their, geographic areas and the risks that are inherent and be able to plan for that. On the reliability side, it's more the day-to-day frequency of outages, the duration of how long, it takes to restore those outages, and the grid modernization, the investments that electric utilities need to make to continue to improve reliability, because our customers are expecting power 24/7, right? We are an afterthought, and that's a compliment because we want folks to be able to flip the switch and be able to turn on their devices, their lights, at a moment's notice.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting talking about like resilience and the different kind of things that can affect it because that was something when I moved to Houston I was nervous about. I'm like, aren't hurricanes a thing here? Like, are we gonna have that be an issue with the power? And that was one of my worst fears. And then a few years ago we had the freeze, which was something not expected in Texas. So it's very interesting to think that you guys have to prepare for such extreme events for, us to be able to, like you said, flip the switch and turn the lights on.
Yeah, and Texas is one of the states that has, I think it's the third highest in terms of natural disasters. When you look all the different types of extreme, weather situations, from hurricanes, like you mentioned, from flooding, you have the, winter events as well. Obviously your typical, thunderstorms, and then you have extreme heat as well. So there are different risks that Texas, has in terms of, its geographic, footprint. And electric utilities need to plan for that, right? Whether it's hurricanes, whether it's resiliency investments. When it comes to Winter Storm Uri, the industry in Texas has made a significant amount of investments to winter weatherize our plants. And one story I like to tell around that is we actually built Montgomery County Power Station, which is a natural gas plant in Willis, Texas, and they came online 1 month before Winter Storm Uri. Now, we did not have the foresight for us to know that Winter Storm Uri was coming, but it was a plant that came in ahead of schedule, and that ahead of schedule actually allowed us to keep the lights on when it mattered most for our customers.
Wow. Well, God bless Texas in so many ways. Elliot, quick question on resilience. I mean, speaking about You mentioned, having reliability and being able to have lights turn on, for your customers' expectations, and then the other part about preparing for weather events. One thing I think the world kind of learned, from the pandemic was supply chain resiliency, right? And so, how is how has at least the pandemic and what's learned from that affected how you guys plan for, resiliency and reliability?
Yeah, that's a great question, and we live that. See, one of the blessings that you mentioned about Texas is that we're seeing a lot of growth. We're seeing a lot of growth on our industrial sector. We're seeing a lot of growth on the residential sector as well. A lot of people are moving to Texas. I think to quote the governor, I believe it's about 1,000 folks come on a daily basis to Texas. I mean, those are significant numbers, and obviously, an area that's already heavily reliant on electrical power because of all the industry and economic development that happens in Texas. You keep adding to it. You need to continue to invest in the grid and build capacity. Now, to your question, we are seeing supply chain constraints, and COVID certainly factored in creating some of those constraints. And we saw that with our distribution transformers, with all the subdivision growth and residential housing growth that we see in areas like Conroe and near and around the Woodlands area, just Montgomery County as a whole. We had issues in terms of being able to secure distribution transformers, which was not unique to Entergy Texas. What was unique to us was the amount of growth that we're seeing here, and so it was more of a volume. But we've made changes. We've worked with our customers. We've worked with vendors and partners domestically and internationally. We've been able to mitigate that situation. But it doesn't stop there. There's other pieces of equipment. There's larger transformers that also have gone from 1 year to 2 or even 3 years lead time. The biggest solution there is to partner with our customers to understand what their growth plans are, make sure that any long lead time equipment we get in the queue very early, so those financial decisions are made as soon as possible, because we need to get in line. And we're also working with the federal government on policies that the DOE was looking to enact a transformer energy efficiency rule, as if you may have heard. Entergy, stepped in to make sure that we do it in a responsible way, because how it was originally proposed would have, brought the domestic transformer manufacturing sector to its knees if we wouldn't have been able to responsibly, still reach those energy efficiency objectives that we align on with the DOE, but do it in a way that we can transition and not create further supply chain constraints. And we've been successful at.
It's kind of insane what goes into literally just keeping the lights on. Like, I miss being a child and being ignorant to the fact that, like, we had to actually plan these things out and that there was a whole world and industry behind keeping this stuff on. You used to drive by, you see the power lines, you see those big random like things that are substations that are sitting there. It's like, oh, it's all that electrical mess. Like, you're not allowed to touch that, stay away from it, it's dangerous. But you never had to really think about it. But now's day and age, I feel like kids may become more aware of it, especially around like the next segment we're getting into, the impact of high demand systems. For one, electric vehicles. Like, obviously electric vehicles have been around for a while, but they have become even more of a thing over the last few years. And so my question for you is, with the energy sector currently experiencing a significant shift with the integration of EVs, some data centers, crypto mining, how is Entergy Texas and Entergy as a whole adapting its infrastructure to accommodate these changes? Because it really does fall on providers like you all.
Yeah, no, and I think you answered it at the very end. We have to stay a step ahead of the growth. There's no way around it, right? We are the common denominator in a lot of the growth that's happening in Southeast Texas, and it's up to us to be the prudent electric utility to plan ahead and make the investments needed to be able to supply all the growth. And when it comes to data centers and cryptocurrency, we're not seeing a lot of that, particularly in Southeast Texas. A lot of it could be because of storm risk. These data centers need to have 99.999 reliability, and it's important that they stay, in service during extreme weather events as well. But we have seen our sister company, Entergy Mississippi, for example, they've been working with Amazon Web Services, and AWS has declared a $10 billion investment in Mississippi to build one of their data centers, which was recently announced within the last month or so. But that, in essence, triggers a significant amount of investments. We're seeing it here in Entergy Texas with projects like the Port Arthur LNG project by Sempra Infrastructure, Blue Ammonia project by OCI, and the list goes on. We're seeing nearly a 50% increase in our load in the next 4 to 5 years, potentially doubling our load growth demands within the end of the decade. So it is significant. What that means is we have to put plans in place to build generation, to build out transmission. And it's not just the engineering aspect of it. I mean, we have to, when it comes to the energy ecosystem, it's partnerships with our customers to understand how can we provide affordable, reliable, and sustainable power? How can we have policies that enable us to make those investments and make sure that, we're not creating an extra burden for the remaining population of customers? Because if we all do this right, this growth translates to long-term affordability for our customers, creates jobs and economic development, and it continues to fuel the prosperity of this area and feed into the Texas miracle. So that's the exciting part. I know you started the question with being excited as kids, right? Because all the innocence. Um, I'm excited now more than I have ever been in over 2 decades in this industry in terms of how much transition, how much growth, how much the electric utility is at the heart of economic development for the state and for the country.
Ellie, you have a gift of like really stressing me out with the facts and then making me feel a lot better by how you're going to like fix the issue. You're like growing by 50%. I'm like, oh my God, no, like how are we going to do it? And then you're like, no, we have a plan. It's going to stimulate the economy. It's going to be great. I see why you are the CEO. You're doing amazing. Shafiq, you are on the supply chain end of a lot of this stuff, trying to get transformers and equipment to companies like Entergy. What is it like from your end experiencing this growth and trying to keep up with all the solutions needed to help companies like them grow 50% in load?
Yeah, well, we're kind of on that whipsaw effect when, like our customers, so utilities such as Entergy, you know, they're coming to us and saying, hey, here's my forecasted need, as best that they can forecast, right? Because like what Ellie said is like, they're getting it from their customers as best they know because everything is planning 18, 24, 36 months out. And so we're taking that information and then kind of working with additional capacity outside of the U.S. to figure out how can we start to fill in those gaps with what we have from a supply chain perspective. And yeah, it's challenging because, and I didn't know this until I got into this industry, but there's also like quick flips of demand, and maybe Ellie, you can confirm this, where they may have a forecast for a certain type of transformer or growth in residential, but then that may actually slow down for other reasons, and then now the utility needs more commercial type transformers, and so we're having to constantly move those plans around and then shift that production and demand capacity because the needs are evolving. Between permits and financing, some projects may get delayed and then others get pulled forward. So we're constantly balancing that out and then working with our customers and our OEMs across the globe on managing those fluctuations.
So yeah, that's a lot, I guess, for you guys to forecast correctly. Ellie, like, is it often forecasted, I guess, semi-accurately, or is it kind of like the weather where we put out these forecasts and we think like, oh, this is what it's going to be, and then Houston weather, it's never correct. Like, how important is the accuracy of forecasting to your partners that are working on supply chain solutions to making things actually work?
Yeah, no, it starts with a good forecast, right? In terms of making sure that we're able to plan to it. And that's what I was mentioning earlier with, partnerships with our customers. We need to be not just a utility that then hears about our customers' plan. We have to be proactive. We have to be strategic. We have to understand, where are our customers taking their business? How fast are they expanding? What's important to them as they expand? And then that allows us have confidence around our forecasts. And we have a huge pipeline in terms of projects in our area. We understand that not all projects are going to come online right at the same time, exactly when we want them to come online. So we probability weight our forecast, and that 50% growth is a probability weighted forecast. So what I'm saying is the pipeline is significant in terms of, not to stress you out, Jordan, but what gives me the comfort
I'm
is,
okay. I'm okay.
one, the team I work with, just and when you look at the leaders across the state and in this region, I'm highly confident about us being able to do this. We built Montgomery County Power Station natural gas plant in 2021. We're building Orange County Advanced Power Station right now, which will have the capability to co-fire hydrogen. That's coming online in mid 2026. We're going to be proposing another handful of resources in order to be able to keep up with the growth that we're seeing. So that gives me the confidence that we have plans in place. We've made forecasts that are reasonable. They're informed based on what our customers are telling us. And then working with our regulators and other external stakeholders to get those plans approved so we can start, putting the shovel to the ground and get the electrons, producing so that we can ultimately, power these large projects.
That's really exciting. I can't wait to see what the announcements are that are coming soon. Now, I have another question, which is around keeping the grid reliable. And at risk of sounding redundant, I'm going to get into it again with what we are using that is, needing more grid capacities, televisions, smart home devices, all of our other consumer electronics that aren't the industrial side. So we're going more to the residential side. There's consistent increasing demand on the grid. Like you said, so many people are consistently moving to Texas. It's insane. How are you all working at Entergy to meet these growing demands without compromising service reliability? So I feel like we really feel it at home, like, on the Ring doorbell app, if power goes out, everyone's like, hey guys, like what happened? The power went out in my neighborhood. How do you guys deal with that?
Yeah. So, when it comes to, and going back to the earlier question about resiliency versus reliability, resiliency for, let's say, hurricanes, the coastal part of our areas present a lot more risk. There's certain areas that might be more risk when it comes to, extreme freezes,
Mm-hmm.
depending on the proximity, the more north you are, those sort of things. Reliability, it depends. There's different pockets. There could be a pocket that might need more grid modernization. We put special devices that help perform automation, or there's an area that might need more vegetation trimming. So that's where we get very surgical with our reliability plans to ensure that we know what are the circuits that are may not be performing to the standard that our customers expect, and then we put plans in place to go ahead and address that. So there's a lot of modern devices that have been introduced to the industry over time. Automated switches, whether it's on the main circuits or even neighborhood circuits, that has been something that we continue to invest in. Surgically underground, undergrounding is more expensive than overhead, and it doesn't eliminate all risks, right? Like flooding, for example,
Mm-hmm.
where overhead actually has an advantage. You can see where there's the issue to troubleshoot, and it's not, and flooding doesn't necessarily hold you back. But there are areas where it makes economic sense to do that because you're offsetting some of the trimming costs and you're able to improve day-to-day reliability. So, there is no silver bullet for reliability. Our grid and the grid in general is very complicated because it goes through all sorts of environments. If you're on, the coastal side, you might have salt spray contamination because of the sea. You may have different aspects of it. And that's where we rely on our engineering teams to ensure that we're able to identify those areas. AMI or smart meters information is very important so that we're able to see that automatically and not have customers have to, call us when they have those issues. But, if they do, then, we're committed to respond and improve, reliability. That we understand that is paramount when it comes to customer service. The power quality and reliability that we provide is something that's very important for our customers.
Yeah.
Hey,
And
Ellie, oh, sorry, I was gonna say like maybe not for Entergy, but or maybe so, but in general, and again, as we're stepping into this, something that you don't think about is how old this infrastructure is, right? I mean, like highways were built, you know, Johnson, and so then our electric grid was built before then. So there's, you know, what I don't know if there's a percentage of on an annual basis, maybe just for Entergy or just regularly like educate us even just for the state of Texas, like how much do you have to go and update, your point you said switch gears, transformers because they're just old, they age out.
Yeah, equipment in general in this industry lasts a long time, and that's that when I view investments in the electric utility grid, they're for the long term. We have power plants that are over 50, 60 years, and they're still functioning. Now, at some point, you need to ensure that you're making the proper transition. And that's what's happening where the Orange County Advanced Power Station is coming in 2026. It's looking to replace some of the Sabine units, which are located in the same area, which have been operating for more than 50 years. So in our industry, it's not uncommon to have devices that span decades. That doesn't mean it's not reliable. There's maintenance procedures that we need to put in place to increase the longevity of that equipment. Now, with that, we have an opportunity. One is the growth, which will call for additional investments, right? New infrastructure, upgrading existing infrastructure, which helps reliability from that perspective. And we're also submitting plans for our resiliency investments, and that's going to help bring our existing infrastructure that is more coastal in nature and bring it up to the latest resiliency standard. We are seeing an increased frequency and severity of storms, increase in frequency and severity of storms, both. That's the point. So it's not like we haven't been investing in resiliency over the many, many years. Just the pace at which we have to invest has now grown exponentially. So that existing equipment or existing infrastructure, Shafiq, that you were mentioning, we have to go and upgrade at a faster pace to keep up with the realities of what we're seeing in the environment.
Wow. So you're looking at, okay, I've got this big, great growth that I got to plan for. So that's all brand new. And then I got to go and manage, hey, this stuff is kind of aging out. Maybe there's an opportunity. And then just the regular humdrum every day of, fix, repair, and maintain. That's a lot.
Yeah, no, we are blessed to be in Southeast Texas, given all the growth we're seeing. We also don't get to choose, right, the geographic risks, and whether it's a wildfire, whether it's hurricanes, we have to anticipate all of it because waiting for something to happen and being reactive, that's too late. We have to be able to make investments early, plan for the and it takes time to build these things,
Yeah.
right? To install poles, to secure them because of the supply chain. So it's important that we stay ahead. Dispatchable natural gas plants with carbon capture and hydrogen capability, more transmission. Renewables are definitely part of the solution as our customers are requesting for those attributes to help reduce their scope 2 emissions, and maintaining our bills affordable as well is another component of our STEP program. And then resiliency. It is a 6-step or 6 components, but the step ahead proposal is something that we're really excited about.
I'm
Ooh.
excited. No, we're getting closer to the end of our time, so I'm gonna transition us into hot takes. So I actually, now that you mentioned renewables, I have a question that I think is kind of controversial. I didn't prep it ahead of time. It just came
Okay.
to me right now. Solar panels on houses. I love them. I think as a engineer, I love the idea of having, a little bit of independence with your energy. But people say they're ugly and they take home value down. What is your personal opinion on solar panels on houses?
Yeah, when it comes to anything in anyone's house, obviously, folks have the right to make their, informed decision about what they invest in and don't invest in. What I would offer is like anything, when you think about larger scale being more economic, that's where we're focused on is utility scale solar investments, which any rooftop solar, it's hard for that to compete with utility scale. And that's the realities. And also when we look at individual homeowners making decisions about putting solar panels on their rooftop, I encourage them to run the financials
Mm-hmm.
and look at what existing electric rates are in comparison to that investment, because the payback period could be 15 years, it could be 20 years. And that's where you, as a homeowner, you need to think about, is this a good investment or not? Entergy Texas has electric rates that are 27% below the national average and 8% below the rest of Texas. We do see on occasion customers investing in solar panels. But again, I would encourage them to run the economics, the financial modeling to make sure you are getting into a good investment. You also have to think about what can go wrong, with storms and other, going back to the extreme weather discussion that we had, you as a homeowner are now responsible for, um, you know, fixing the solar panel, reattaching it, whatever effects it can have, cleaning it, making sure that the efficiency continues to, produce the energy that it was intended to do. We as the electric utility, that's what we do. We do it at grid scale. And we think we have a better value proposition for our customers in that sense.
That's a very hot take. I like it. All right. Well, now to the more I don't even know if this is more controversial, but it's still a hot take, so we're gonna get your take on it. Now, with the energy industry often at the center of debates of sustainability and climate change, of course, what's your take on nuclear energy as a part of our future energy mix?
It's definitely a part of it. The question now becomes, when is it going to be economic compared to other forms of generation? And also the policy that you need to start getting into the advanced nuclear world, right? So Entergy has, at one point, Entergy managed one of the largest nuclear portfolios in the nation as or any electric utility. Now we focus more on our in the Gulf areas. A lot of our nuclear power plants were across other areas in the nation. And again, we're transitioning to focus more on the utility side in the Gulf. But absolutely, and we have an MOU with Holtec to continue to explore advanced nuclear. We have a seat at the Texas Nuclear Working Group that the Public Utility Commission of Texas has formed at the direction of Governor Abbott. Texas wants to be a leader in advanced nuclear, and Entergy has a strong voice in that working group. So we are exploring it, but the growth is here now, and
Yeah.
that's where we need to look at other available technologies, affordable technologies. That's where we think, solar or renewables in general are part of the equation, but
Mm-hmm.
they also have the intermittency challenges that we need to solve for. And some of these large industrial customer projects, you need, as an engineer, there's not an amount of solar panels that can move some of these large machines. You need actual moving mass to help power some of these large, motors. And that's where natural gas plants have proven to be, a very effective source of generation. But we need to solve for the clean attribute. And that's
Mm-hmm.
why we're heavily looking at pairing the co-firing capability of hydrogen with our natural gas plants, and also looking at carbon capture sequestration, CCS, as part of those natural gas plants as well. So we're not ignoring the fact that we need to still solve for, the decarbonization aspect that our customers are asking for, while we focus on proven technologies that help with affordability and reliability like natural gas, plants do. So this is at the heart of the conversation between dispatchable and intermittent service, right? Carbon, right? Low carbon, that whole polarity. And what we're trying to do at Entergy is not make it not keep fueling that polarity, but
Mm-hmm.
actually finding a solution where you can get both, right? The dispatchable 24/7 power, and be able to solve the clean attribute with hydrogen and CCS. And that way, we're providing solutions and not just creating more challenges than what we already have.
I love that. That was a beautiful answer. Now, to wrap it up, we have to ask you a fun, lighthearted question, and I think it could really apply to the answer you just gave. Our question is, if you could invent a new gadget or technology to solve any energy-related problem, what would it be and why?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say, because of the supply chain constraints, if there's a
Uh-huh.
way that we can scale 3D printing and just build these things yesterday at a huge scale, That would be just I know it's a wish here, but there's a lot of components that have to come together domestically, overseas. It's a big puzzle, right? That has to be sequenced, and to the degree that some future technology is able to put it all together, like 3D printing might in the future, then that would be my that would be
That'd
what
be
comes to mind. That would be it.
Yep.
Uh,
I'll
I got
invest.
anything
Take all
else?
my money.
Yeah.
I don't have much, but take it all. No, amazing. Shafiq, any remaining thoughts or questions before we sign off?
No, I just want to thank you. Thanks again, Ellie, for the time. Like really educative and great to hear what you guys are doing to you said like to support all this growth. And I think Jordan could probably rest easier now knowing that he's in good hands as long as he stays in the southeast.
Uh-huh.
There you go. Well, I appreciate it. Thanks for the opportunity. Yeah, no, I'm excited, and be on the lookout for more information. There's going to be a lot more that we're going to be able to talk about and showcase. I'm excited about our future. So
Of
thank you.
course. Well, guys, thank you so much for listening to this episode of Powering Beyond Boundaries. I'm your host, Jordan Yates, and we'll catch you next time. Bye bye.